Hello first grade, so today we're going to start creating some dots on our paper based on the story, The Dot. And so we are learning about being a community of artists, a group of artists, that's what community means. And we're going to work together as a community to use our materials safely and respectfully so that other community of artists can use these same supplies. And we're going to learn how to clean up respectfully and properly as a community so that we all do our part, working together to clean up completely. So the first thing we're going to do is start with a small white piece of paper. You're going to need to write your name and the day you have art. If you're A day, B day, C day. So I'm going to write A. You're going to flip it over and you're going to get 3 size circles. You're going to get a large, a medium, and a small circle. The numbers really don't matter. Just make sure that you have 1 large, 1 medium, and 1 small. You're going to trace each of these circles on this small white paper twice. So you're going to trace 2 large circles very carefully. They should still look like a circle when you lift up the pattern. Now if I put this one here, it's going to run off the edge. So I'm going to need to make sure that I have a little bit of space between each of the circles, that they're not touching and that they're not running off the edge of the paper. 2 large, and then I need 2 medium, making sure I leave a little bit of space around each one. If I put it here, it will fit, but it'll be a little tight, so I'm going to move it down here a little bit. 2 medium, and then 2 small. And again, they should not be touching or overlapping or running off the edge of the paper. They should fit neatly on your small paper. Then we're going to use liquid watercolor in these cups to paint these circles. There are 6 colors, there are 6 circles. You can paint each circle a different color, or you can choose to not use a color and use a different color more than once. So you just need a paintbrush. You're going to dip it into the paint and then paint it into the inside of the circle. If you paint a little bit outside the circle, that's okay. We're going to cut these out later, so if you don't paint perfectly within the circle, you'll be able to cut off that little mess or mistake that you make later. Now I choose to use yellow first. It's the lightest color. That way I know my water is still clean and hasn't been messed up, and I know my paintbrush is still clean. I rinse my paintbrush off and change colors. So this is being part of a community. If I just leave the yellow on my paintbrush and put it into another color, I'm mixing the colors up for the community of artists that are sharing this paint with me. And I don't want to do that. I want to be respectful of everyone that's working around me. So I rinse my paintbrush off and then I pick a new color, dip my paintbrush, my clean paintbrush, in the new color. Thinking of others. When I see my paintbrush off, I'm going to spin my paper around so I'm closer to the circles that I'm painting. Now I was careful not to drip when I pulled my paintbrush out of the purple, not to drip purple into the yellow when I lifted my paintbrush over the yellow. So I'm lifting over the yellow, making sure I'm not going to drip into the yellow. Alright, so you'll put your paintbrush in the water basin, you'll leave the paints at your table, I'll come around and collect them, and you're going to take your paper with 2 hands and you're going to carry it over to the drying rack, and I'll help you get it on the drying rack. Do not tilt your paper up like this because the paint might run into the other circles. So don't carry it with just 1 hand so it's dripping everywhere. Carry it with 2 hands like this over to the drying rack. Hello first grade. So now that we have put designs on our circles, we have 2 large, 2 medium, 2 small circles on a page, and we've added designs with different art media, crayon, color pencil, marker, oil pastel. We're now going to create a gold swirly frame to put our dot in, just like in the story The Dot by Peter Reynolds. So you're going to get a square piece of paper with a square drawn on inside by me. You're going to flip it over, write your name, and the day you have art. Day A, day B, day C. You're going to flip it over, and then you are going to use a permanent marker to draw a design inside the frame. So remember, in the dot, the art teacher had a gold swirly frame, so you could do swirly lines, you could draw a pattern of different shapes, you could do zigzag lines, you could do a mixture of zigzag and dotted lines, but I'm going to do a swirly frame, so I'm going to draw a curly Q along the corner, and then I'm going to come across and draw a curly Q line, go to the corner, and I'm going to keep going all the way around the frame. So your design needs to go all the way around the outer edge of your paper. You're going to put the cap on the marker. Then you're going to get a placemat to go under your work. Now I have an example of something other than a swirly frame. So I have this one here that I did a wavy and dots and then diamonds in the corners. You could do any kind of design that you like. But I did a swirly one here. We're going to use tempera cakes to paint our frame gold. So you're going to make sure that your paper is on the manila paper, all the way around is manila paper, so when you paint the edges, you get the paint on the manila paper and not on the table. Then you're going to take your paintbrush, you're going to swirl around on the yellow, and then you're going to paint in this frame with the yellow paint all the way around. Now I want you to be careful not to drip or get paint on the inside center of your paper, because that's where we're going to glue your dot, and that's where we're going to sign our name. If your yellow kind of looks like the red one here and it has a hole in it, there's still paint along the rim. So you'll just take your paintbrush and swirl around the edge like this in order to get the yellow paint on your paintbrush to paint your gold swirly frame. So then we'll clean up our paint, and we can take both of these papers to the drying rack to dry. So when you get your circle paper back, the paint will be dry, and you'll be ready to explore different drawing medias on your circles. And we're going to have colored markers for you to explore with, colored pencils, oil pastels, and crayons. These are the 4 drawing media that we're going to use today to explore them and try different techniques with them to create different designs on our circles. So there are 4 types of lines that I want you to use. You can use more than 4, but I do want you to try each of these 4. Thick and thin, and straight and curved lines. So I'm going to start with the marker, purple marker, blue marker, and I'm going to start with a curved line in the middle of the circle by drawing another small circle inside. And this is a curved line or a bent line. Then I'll draw some straight lines. So these are 2 of the 4 lines I want you to use today, curved and straight. I want you to try thick. To get a thick line with the marker as I use the diagonal part of it. So this diagonal part I color with at the same time, and that makes a thick line, or I can turn it and just use the tip to make a thin line. Alright, so now I have used all 4 kinds of lines that I want you to use. Curved and straight, thick and thin. But I want you to try a variety of media. So that's marker. Here's some oil pastel. Let's see, maybe I'll do a wavy line. So now I'm doing a 5th kind of line. Not one that I have to use, but I want to use it. So wavy line with oil pastel. The great thing about oil pastel is it smears, so you can take your finger and you can pull it back and forth across the oil pastel and smear this color. It's not very noticeable, this light color on the light blue. Maybe if I use, let's see, I'll use a dark purple. the inside here. You're going to press down hard with the oil pastel, and then I'm going to pull this in towards the center. Create or smear with the oil pastel. Crayons you've probably used before, but I'd like you to try some of those and some different designs with those. And you can use different media on each of your circles. So far I've kept marker just on these circles and oil pastel, but you can mix and try different media together or next to each other. So I could take this gray crayon and color in this circle. Let's see, I could do some straight lines that cross over each other. Color pencil, you might need to sharpen them. So with color pencil, I will have some paper towels and a pencil sharpener that's glued to this wooden stick so they don't get lost because they're so small they get dumped in the trash sometimes by accident. So pick a color of color pencil that you want to use, and you're going to use the small hole. There are two holes, a large and a small. You'll use the small hole, put your pencil into the sharpener, push and twist, and keep the sharpener over the paper towel so it catches these shavings. You can kind of tap it. A little bit of practice, but we are exploring and trying different media, so take your time, try a new technique. So let's see, I think I'm going to draw a zigzag line going around, and notice how I turn my paper just to make it easier to go around the circle neatly. So I want you to continue to try all the different drawing medias until you filled up all 6 circles with some really neat designs that you're proud of. So once you've filled up your 6 circles with designs, now you're going to carefully cut out each of these circles, and you're going to stay right on your pencil line. So even though I didn't paint real neatly with my purple here, I'm going to still follow my pencil line so that I can cut off the crummy edge around the pencil that I painted outside the line. And when you cut circles, it's better to turn your paper as you cut instead of trying to cut with your scissors and turn your scissors. And if it's too hard for you to turn your paper, you can always cut one of the circles out to make a smaller piece of paper, and then slowly rotating your paper around as you're cutting and closing the blades of your scissors. Closing. Your paper scraps into one of the blue recycle bins when you are finished cutting out all 6 of your circles. It's cut out. You're going to be able to use my fancy pop dots, and they're just little bits of cardboard that are cut into small squares, and you're going to glue your medium on top of your large circle, and you could glue this way or you could switch them, glue them that way, and then your small circle on top your medium circle to make 2 dots for our collaborative art piece. So what you're going to do is you will take and you will open up your glue bottle and you'll put a dot of glue in the middle of your large circle. Then you will take a pop dot and you will put that on top of the glue. Then you will put a glue dot on top of the pop dot. And then you're going to take your medium circle and place it right on top of that glue and cardboard piece. And what happens is this makes it 3D. It makes it pop up. So if I hold this just right, there you go, you can see the edge right here, and you can see the space between the 2 circles. And that's creating some what's called depth, that it's sticking out. So now I will put a dot of glue in the middle of the medium circle. I will put a pop dot on top, and then a dot of glue on top of the pop dot, and then my small circle on top of that. And you want to be real careful not to let these slide around. And after you cut out your circles and glue them on top of each other with pop dots, you're going to get your gold frame back nice and dry, and you are going to flip over whichever one you like the most. Which one is your favorite that you're going to frame? You're going to flip it over and you're going to put a line of glue around the edge of the circle. You're going to twist, close your glue bottle up. Then you're going to glue this to the center of your frame and then hold it down for a little while. Count to 30 or 50 until it's glued flat to your paper. We don't want it curling up. We want your dot flat to your paper in the center of your gold swirly frame. And then you're going to use a permanent marker and sign it. Remember in the story, The Dot, Vashti jabbed her pencil into the center of the paper and her art teacher said, sign it. And she signed it, and then our art teacher put it in a gold swirly frame in her room. So I want you to sign your artwork. So on the bottom right corner, I want you to write your name really nice with the permanent marker, just like Vashti did. And then I'm going to hang up your artwork for the whole school to see, first grade, just like Vashti. And there is my dot in a gold swirly frame ready to be hung up for the whole school to see. Good job, first grade.